Good morning, y'all. Happy Sunday. Make sure y'all can hear me. Happy Sunday. Hope everyone is well. Happy Sunday, Lorraine. Thank you. Hi, Michelle. Evelyn. Happy Sunday. Good people. All right, let me get myself together here. I won't say running behind, moving slower today than I think it is. Apropos. It is winter solstice. Things are slowing down. Shortest day, the day with the shortest daylight. All those things. Hi, WLJ. Hey, Rosalind. Happy Sunday. Glad y'all are here. Thank you for being here. All right. Hi, Diane. Happy Sunday. Hi, Cynthia. Bridget. Glad y'all are all here. I got a new chair. So I'm still trying to adjust to my new chair, but I like it. Hi, Geraldine. It is gloomy and I haven't been outside, Michelle, but I think I saw it was 54 degrees. So it is a gloomy day, but it's for me, it is apropos for the day. That's my new word for today. Happy birthday, Bridget. Birthday weekend. Hi, Pat. Glad you're here. Hey, lady. Glad you are here. 1219. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday to you. All right. I am still in the series. We are in the seven Sundays to 2026. And trying to did my comment not stay? I don't think it did. Okay. All right. We'll figure this out. So today we are in week 6. It is designing what's next. And this is part of the 7 Sundays to 2026 series. So thank y'all for being here. And before I get started in the series, I will do my kickoff. As I introduce myself, I am Jewel Pearson. This is Miss Bohemian Soul TV. And as I introduce myself, I share that I built a tiny house in 2015 because I don't believe, because I wanted to live in no freedom. And then it's fancy. I designed it so that it's fancy because I don't believe you have to give up luxury to go tiny. I am a lifestyle architect and strategist and a longtime advocate for intentional living and for representation in the tiny house movement. And after living tiny for over a decade, a little over a decade, I use my experience and my expertise to help others create intentional, self-defined lives through home design, through downsizing, and that can be people, places, and things, intentional living, type downsizing, and through community. And if you'd like to connect with me, once this video is live, you will find links to do so down in the video description below. I hope you are subscribed to the channel. If not, please do that now. Turn on the notifications so that you'll know when I am over here chatting, going live, and doing something. As I always say, it's not just about the tiny house. For me, the tiny house has been a vehicle for my intentional living. It's about exiting hustle. It is about designing home, and that can be physical home. It can be a spiritual type home. It is about living intentionally and liberation. That's the big piece of it. It is about freedom. And so that's what we talk about over here. And so we're gonna get into today's session. Thank y'all for being um, here today. WLJ is working on her command center. Happy Sunday. Okay, sunny Chicago at 21 degrees. That's where my daughter lives. She'll be here Tuesday. I could only do Chicago in spring and summer. I don't like that cold. Hello, love, catching blessings. Happy to see you here. All right, WLJ is getting ready for this evening. So that's a segue into, if you're not in the Soul Collective community, we are having a community gathering. I'll talk about it in a little bit, but if you're not there, you should be there so you can join us this evening. Hey, Catrice. Happy winter solstice. Absolutely. So happy Sunday, y'all. So we are, thank you, Bridget. I kind of think so too. We are at week 6 of this 7 Sundays to 2026 series. And we are talking about design. Today, we're talking about designing what's next. We've talked about the break open. We've talked about, last week we were talking about capacity. After you've had that break open, like then you've got to get your capacity level together. And so we today are at the point in the series where the work that we're doing turns forward, but it's not going forward in a rushing way. So if you think back to the Becoming series, we were naming identity, who we were stepping out of, who we were becoming, things that you were holding, things that you were releasing. That work wasn't about answers. It was about identity. It was about recognition. It was about seeing the things. This week 6 in this series is different because this is where we start to ask, as we're doing the work in the breakthrough and all of this work, we're starting to see ourselves more clearly. And so now we start to ask, how do I orient my life to support who I'm becoming? How do I orient my life to this person that I am now seeing clearly? I've shared my work with human design. I've shared what I'm being called to figure out. And so now it is, and again, I always share, this is most often work that I'm personally doing that I share. So this is the time where you don't have to decide everything. You don't even have to announce anything. Like we talked about that before. Like you don't have to make a big announcement that this is who I was, this is who I am. Like you just start moving differently. So all we're asking right now is that we orient. And today is a perfect time to do this work because today, being winter solstice, marks a natural pause in the world. The world itself is quieter right now. And I'm talking about the world, the earth, the beings, the natural things outside of people in charge right now. I'm not talking about them people because they just wilding out. We're talking about the world. Like we are focusing outside of all of that noise. So remember that the world as it relates to spiritual world. The world is quieter right now. The winter solstice marks the day of the shortest daylight, the longest night. So much of awakening and awareness happens in darkness. Today is that natural pause. And so today naturally supports this kind of work. For me, um, I said I was moving slower. December always calls me to do, has always called me to do reflection. And as time goes on, it just becomes more and more. So it's winter solstice, December 21st. It's also the day, December 21st is also the day that we lost my dad. My dad was, when I was 2, my dad was killed in an auto accident on December 21st, 1969. It's always a big day for me. I was 2. I have no memories of my dad. But it's obviously a big gap in my life. And I feel like my dad and I would have been so very connected. My birthday is August the 5th. His birthday was August the 4th. And then as time moves on, we lost him, as I shared, on December 21st. December 21st is also usually the same day of winter solstice. I start putting numbers and thinking stuff. So it was winter solstice in 69. And then this week and this month also calls me now because it is also the week, the month that I experienced having had a stroke. So I had the stroke on December 23rd, 2023, 12/23/23. Y'all know I do my numbers. And so as I've been doing reflection, to me, I pay attention to um, sunrises. His sunrise August 4th, my sunrise August 5th, his sunset December 21st, my almost sunset December 23rd. And I clearly remember sitting on my couch saying, Jewel, you can't die like this, in my head, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything else. So December calls me, and that was a big share. December calls me. December calls me to, thank you, Rosalind. December calls me to sit in reflection. December calls me to do interpersonal work, and I try to listen. Y'all know I speak in color purple terms. December, I hear Suge singing, God is trying to tell you something. That is what December represents for me. And so the natural call to slow down is there for me. And so in the Becoming series, I forgot to fill up my water, y'all. In the Becoming series, we were asking questions like, absolutely. And y'all notice I got through and I didn't cry. Hey Shay. In our Becoming series, we ask questions like, who am I becoming? What no longer fits? What am I choosing myself in? And we were asking, like, what does it mean to arrive and still feel unfinished? Because remember, we weren't orchestrating any of that work. We were just in becoming and letting whatever comes up. And so remember, we talked about the grief associated, because we don't have everything figured out. We weren't orchestrating anything. We were just letting things take their natural course. Thank you so much. And so those questions that we were asking in the Becoming series, those were our identity questions. Now, in this week 6 of this series, we are in our design questions. And so questions around design questions, it doesn't ask like who am I? It asks questions like, what does this version of me need right now? This version of who I am figuring out that I am, the version of me that is breaking through, breaking open. What does this version of me need in order to live well? That's part of what we were talking about last week in the capacity level. We're not moving in trauma and forcing things. We are identifying who we are and what this person needs to thrive. And that's a different level of inquiry. That is, and a lot of people will skip this part of it because you feel your identity shift. Like as I've been doing this work all through 2025, starting with 2025 has been the year of my new brain. As I started getting clarity on who I was, who I am, I have felt my identity shift. And oftentimes we want to immediately jump into some action, make some new plans, some new goals. And you're really adding pressure to you just figuring out who this is. And now you're already setting goals and action for this new person. And that's not what we want to do. We need to orient, because if you haven't oriented in an orient, when you think of like a compass, like just sitting in this space and gathering yourself for the direction. If you haven't oriented and you just start trying to jump into the action, all you're doing is recreating that same life that you're trying to move from in that trauma, that was the trauma life, and you are just recreating that same life with different labels. I'm this new person, but I'm still really doing the older things because you haven't oriented in what this new version of you needs. And so, design, what we're talking about today, is the bridge between becoming and living. And when we think about designing, there's a difference in designing and deciding. A decision is usually quick, a fast decision. Designing is slow. It took me a while to design my house because I wanted to ensure I thought through everything. Designing is slow. Designing an intentional life is slow because you want to ensure you're covering all of the things. Deciding wants certainty. Deciding wants you to, are we turning left or we're turning right? Let's do it. Designing works with signals. Remember last week we were talking about the data gathering that you've been doing with your intuition. Designing, and the difference in designing and deciding. Designing wants to wait for the signals. So in the deciding left, right, and you off, designing sits there because you're orienting, and designing asks you to think about, does turning right feel right for me, or should I be turning left? And using some of that intel to make the decision before you just turn left or right in a decision. And when we've been through the break open that we talked about, when we've done the capacity shift work that we talked about last week, then the way you used to make decisions doesn't work anymore, because you're not basing your decisions on urgency. You're not basing your decisions on fear, expectation. because if you're designing for who you are being asked to be, then your system should be rejecting making decisions. Your system should be decisions that are based on urgency and fear. Let me say that. Your system should be rejecting that because that's not who you are. In your system rejecting that, it's not being indecisive. It is the integrity of your system is saying, hey, no, 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 we don't move that way. Designing what's next is the orienting in designing what is next asks you to hold the questions without forcing the answers. So orienting, does turning right feel right? Does turning left feel right for me? Not forcing the answers, but sitting, holding the questions so that the answers come to you. In designing, you get to say, I don't know yet. I know more than I did, but I still don't know the answer yet. So maybe you're sitting in orient trying to decide, is it the right turn? Is it the left turn? And it's okay to sit there and say, I don't know yet. You have more intel because you're relying on your data gathering. I feel like I'm in corporate America, data gathering, your personal intel, but you're not making decisions haphazardly because you're in design, not decision mode. And that's progress. When you know you're sitting there thinking through something without jumping forward, and maybe before in your trauma person, you just do the things. That's progress. Design starts to show you things that you're drawn to now, things that don't work for you. It calls that out. People, places, and things. And we've also been talking about how this is also, end of year is also a good time to be in this space because we with the holidays, spending time in different spaces, design, as you're designing yourself, it identifies places that you want to be, spaces you want to be in, and spaces that no longer serve you. The question is, are you honoring that? But that's another conversation. But that's what design starts to show you. Design starts to show you like conversations you want to be in. What places where people are talking about things that you relate to and that you want to be in. Things that feel interesting, like new interest that maybe you didn't have before. Spaces and environments that calm you. And you're choosing places that don't drain you. Things that feel possible without a whole lot of effort. You're not forcing things. That's the important thing. Forcing things, people, places, and things. We're not forcing ourselves to be in spaces. We're not forcing ourselves to interact with people that don't feel aligned. And it's not random that this stuff starts to feel different. This is information. This is the intel that your body is giving you. The thing about it is, in this design place, like, you're not going to have all the answers at once. It arrives in pieces and parts because you got to put the design together. Hang on, y'all. I got to cut off the heater. before I bust out sweating here. I figure I just cut off the heater. Let me figure out. Oh, I was talking about how design gets here. Thank you, WLJ. It doesn't come in one full package. Like, you don't have all the directions. It's not like GPS where you put in the we put in the place you want to get there, want to get to, and all the answers show up. It's not like it's not how this works. Brigitte, that means you gotta slow it down and pace yourself and move out of your trauma space. And thank you. So it because this is gonna arrive like spaces of curiosity. Am I interested in this? Oh, I wasn't interested in this before. This feels good. Let me look into this. This feels good. This looks good. And you start looking at new paths. Design is noticing without forcing. I always have heat on in my house. I'm gonna be the old lady whose house is hot as hell, and then sometimes it gets me. Or I am the old lady whose house is hot as hell. let's put that. Let's say that right. So when we're designing this life, last week we were talking about capacity. When you're figuring out the truth of what you can actually hold right now. And that is important for design, because as you're designing your next chapter, you can't build on capacity. Catherine always likes to get me together. You can't build on old capacity, the capacity you used to have. As I've been learning about my human design, previously I operated as a generator, doing. That's not actually who and what I am, but that was a response to what I had to be, as a single mom, hustling, the doer, to get stuff done, to figure things out. And it was a forced capacity. Now I recognize I can't operate at that level, so I can't design my next in generator do capacity. My brain won't even allow me to do that anymore. So as you're designing next, it has to be built on the capacity that you have now. And that's the truer capacity for who you are. And so you ask questions like, what kind of pace fits me now? What feels good for my nervous system? And that is something that's really, really important for me right now. Like, my whole body is rejecting things that don't fit and feel well. I have shared that even in conversation, if the space is too loud, if it is too much, if there's too much overwhelm in conversations, even as I'm trying to navigate, like I'm building my ecosystem, If I'm trying to watch a video and the person is speaking too fast, even if I want that information, that fast talking, my nervous system rejects that. I don't have capacity for that. I need a slower pace. I need um that's me honoring who I am now. And so you ask those questions, what feels nourishing for me right now? People, places, and things. What kind of community feels nurturing or and nourishing? What kind of quiet do I need to protect? And that has been my journey. What kind of quiet do I need to protect? My move to this location also happened in December. Um, it is the design work asks you to ask those questions so that you can honor what the new version of you. My great grandmother was that person too. You'd go to her house and she'd have the oven door open. And man, who would be so hot in there? And here I am, that lady. When you're designing and having to answer those questions, like that's not shrinking your life. Like when I recognize I need to leave spaces because it's just too much, I don't feel no kind of way about it. It's not definitely not shrinking. That's expanding. Like that's honoring. Um, it's me refitting myself to the truth of who I am right now. Y'all have to hold on 1 second. This is my Aunt Mary, so hang on, y'all. How do I mute this? Hold on, y'all. Hello? Hey, how are you?
Well, I was until now. I just got back taking pictures from work. And apparently I rolled over something. I got a flat tire.
Okay, you need the card on? Is that what you need?
Yeah. Oh, you in me?
That's okay. Do you have an idea of what you need
It
to
should
do?
be more. It should be. What now?
Go ahead. You get my
No, it's
answer.
probably no more than. Hope I can get it plugged.
Okay.
Hope I can get it plugged. If not, it ain't gonna get a. It's not gonna get a new tire. I'm gonna get a used tire.
Okay. Okay.
That's all.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. All right. Sorry, y'all. I didn't mute. Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure. I Y'all know I look out for my Aunt Mary, and so when the phone rings and it's her house, I got to answer. Um, Thank you. Thank y'all. It wasn't anything serious. I don't know how. I got to figure out how to mute. I think I know how to do it. Whenever a call comes from her number, I get thrown off. So y'all bear with me. Um, Hang on 1 second. Adulting is hard, and adulting trying to take care of another adult who has some different adults in her house is hard. All right. Thank y'all. Um Thank y'all. Um Aunt Mary's 102, and she has um I'm her responsibility person. She has a son and a grandson who live with her. and I'm the responsibility person for a reason. And I have to manage adults as I try to manage and take care of her. So it's a lot. Yes, she is a blessing. And I often say she's my 102-year-old 2-year-old because, who, Lord. Anyway, all right. So we were talking about the questions you have to ask yourself when you're designing. I think I was sharing how I know I have to place, remove myself from places that don't feel well, and that is interesting because I have had to exact. Thank you, Shay. Um, Part of what I am being called to do as I orient myself is recognize how that space impacts me. And like this is a whole bunch of work you're being called to do. And in honoring yourself, there's also the question of, and this may land with some of you because I know we're all being asked to do things like my caregiving for my Aunt Mary, but in honoring and designing for the next and making sure you're honoring yourself because you get to come first, and that's the hard part of the work is you get to come first, you get to choose yourself, and in doing this work you get to design how you care for others so that you still care for yourself first. And thank you. That is often the hard part of this work is in not sacrificing ourselves in order to show up in other spaces for other people. And so, what designing asks us to do is to ask, how do I support, in my case, how do I support my Aunt Mary? How do I support this situation, but still honor myself? Because I adore her. Her situation vexes my soul. But in honoring myself, I also recognize that this is a situation that she set up and has allowed. She's not, like, I had to do the hard work. She's not a victim. She set up this situation. And at 102, she's lived this situation for a very long time. If she wanted to do some things differently, then she's had plenty of time to do that. And so, in honoring myself, there are limits to how I allow her situation to impact me. There are limits to how I allow her situation to impact my nervous system. Because in the designing of next, we should be choosing ourselves first, people, places, and things. And so when I say I've had to do this work, that was also a major part of this. Um, for those of you who know me, she recently broke her hip, and so she was in rehab from July to October, and it was a lot. But I absolutely protect your health as you help others. But I have to recognize that I had a stroke. I have a new brain. I am being called to do things differently, to move differently, to take care of myself differently. I can't be the over giver, the over everything that I've always been. And that is absolutely creating a system of balance that serves you both. Remembering self-care and health is first. Absolutely. That is what designing next looks like. And so y'all saw that in real time. It is, when I say the work that I personally have been having to do, it is absolutely that. And that's why I feel comfortable sharing this, because I'm not talking about stuff I don't know. And I feel called to share it because we all are. Exactly. Giving yourself at the expense of. Absolutely not. That's not what designing and doing this breakthrough work and honoring self looks like, honoring self care. Because at the end of all of that, you're depleted. Everybody else is going to take, and you're depleted. Mm-hmm. This is the work that I'm being called to do in the off ramp. I've talked to you all about the off ramp, where we're being asked to. I don't think I know another way, Bridget. Thank you, though. We're being called to exit the chaos, the noise, and off ramp into intentional living, whatever that looks like. It could look like a tiny house. It could we're being asked to exit this bigger noise and do this work. It is not about urgency. It's not about proving that you're ready. It is trusting that leaving the old road, the off ramp, leaving that noise was enough for right now, and trusting that as you exit this off ramp, you'll get the clarity. You'll be able to get into alignment, and you'll be able to navigate forward. And you don't have to rush. So, today, winter solstice, December 21st, we want to consider, you should be considering, what does this version of me need right now? What kind of life would support this version of me? What kind of life do I need? What kind of life supports me? Where do I feel misaligned? So that you can make adjustments. And absolutely. And what feels right now, like, even if you don't have all the answers, but you got a feeling about something that this feels right, even if you don't know why it feels right, honoring that. And today's a good day to ask those questions. What does this version of you need right now? What kind of life would support you right now? What feels misaligned? What feels right? Even if it is it's just a feeling, but you don't understand why it feels right. But these are the questions that we want to be asking today. You're not deciding, you're just noticing as you're making decisions. You don't have to make, as you're designing, you don't have to make decisions, final decisions. That's enough right now. For those of y'all, so, I shared today is a big day for me. This is a day I sit and do some work. This is a week that I'll be sitting and doing some work. For those of you who, let me drop the link. For those of you who are in the Soul Collective, let me see how I get that link. For those of you in the Soul Collective, we have our Winter Solstice Gathering this evening, 7 p.m. It's nothing formal. It is just, I'll probably say, like a continuation of some of these conversations that we have right here, but It gives us an opportunity. Folks can be on camera if they want to, up to them, but we're on Zoom. We're able to be in more conversation. Okay, so yes, Michelle, you should have the link and everything. So I'm dropping this link for the rest of y'all who aren't in community with us. If you want to attend this gathering, you're welcome to. You get there through the community. The bonus is that the community right now is offering 21 days for free. You can use that link that I just shared. 21 days free means you don't have to commit. If you want to investigate, peek around, see if the community is something that you would be interested in being in, you have 21 days to do so before you have to, before you commit. You can leave at any time and within that 21-day time frame. You can join us this evening if you'd like to. We'll continue this conversation. Thank you, Ken. I'm not sure what your handle is. You're very welcome. Very welcome. We have to honor that. What else? I think that's all I have for y'all today. If you don't right now, if you are sitting in, I don't exactly know what's next, that's fine. You're in a good space. It doesn't mean you're lost. It just means you are designing honestly. The direction is forming. You can trust that even if it's quiet, it is forming, it is coming. So that's okay. Like you aren't behind, you aren't, sometimes it feels like you're lost, but you have to trust, listen. That's the things we talk about. And listening happens in the quiet spaces. Trust and listen that you are headed in the right direction if you're doing the honest work. I had to step away from a family member to honor myself in peace. I understand. I can relate. Because that's important. It doesn't always feel good. It brings tears. It brings a lot of emotion. Sometimes you want the best in, like, especially in a caregiving situation, you want the best for that person. But oftentimes what equates to your best is not what they want. And you also have to honor that. So it is the thing that we're having to learn that isn't a societal norm is that we get to choose ourselves first. So often, and I can only speak from Black community because I'm Black, in case y'all ain't know. I feel like so much of our community, or at least the way I was raised, so much of choosing self equated to being selfish. And selfish has such a negative connotation. And I don't know if you all remember when Christine Platt visited us in 2 summers ago, and she redefined being selfish. It's okay to choose yourself first. You only get one self. God gave you to you. It was a gift that He meant for you to protect. It didn't mean for you to put everybody before yourself. And that relates to mates and children, as harsh as that sounds. Not saying you don't care for your mate. I ain't saying you don't care for your kids. I got a daughter. I'm a mother. The prioritizing self and self-care is important because you can't give to them. You can't take care of them if you don't prioritize yourself. And so designing what that looks like is really critical to save yourself. That's where we are. All right. Next Sunday is week 7. It is the last Sunday of 2026. It is the last Sunday in this series. Absolutely. I gotta think. I'm gonna see if I can scroll on Instagram and find what Christine told us about being selfish. As I try to talk, because it was so important. Because we have so much negative connotation around self-care and what it means to put ourselves first. And it's important to reframe that so that we know here it is right here. Oh, I did good, y'all. I'll multitask. Christine encouraged us to be selfishly, this was her self-care tip, selfishly and let's try that again, Joe. Selfishly and unapologetically be chiefly concerned with your own profits and pleasure. And that was a conversation I had with Christine. I'll link her conversation in the description. It was August 2024 that she and I were in conversation. That's important. Selfishly and unapologetically be chiefly concerned with your own profits and pleasure. We have to redefine what selfish means in prioritizing ourselves. We are also another share from community, because we're doing a lot in community, being engaged. Remember last year I was sharing this time to find you a community and be engaged with some folks. That's part of self-care as well. But in January, we are reading Christine's second book, Less is Liberation. Christine Platt, a good friend of mine. I am hoping to have her come into the community and speak to us there. So that's another reason why you should be in community with us. So January kicks off the Less is Liberation reading. This is her new book. This is her first book, The Afro-Minimalist Guide to Living with Less. And then this is her second book, Less is Liberation, Finding Freedom from a Life of Overwhelm. We're reading this starting in January. Hopefully Christine will come and join us. She did as we were reading The Guide to Living with Less. She came into the community and shared with us. So, hi, Key. Absolutely. That's what we got today. I'll see some of y'all. I'll see some of y'all this evening. Bridget, we knew you meant Key. I hope I see a lot of y'all this evening. Yeah, drop the link. Happy Sunday. Happy Winter Solstice. Happy December. I hope everybody has a great week. And I'll see you all later. Take care.